My school has 2 lunch periods, as I clutched my teeth in fear. Miraculously, the bullet missed me. "Don't come upstairs." We heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs. In a panic, I darted for the stairs just as a gunshot. After much effort, I finally found 3 stories that take place during school lockdowns. It was a typical, boring Friday in calculus, the last period of the week, and spring break was just around the corner. Everyone was getting antsy in their seats. Unlike many of my friends, we didn't have a test that day, so our laid-back teacher decided to play games with us on Sparkle.com. I remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend answered a question about the Adidas logo, the dean's voice crackled through the loudspeaker, sounding panicked as he instructed all teachers to go into lockdown. I felt chills and goosebumps as our usually calm teacher rushed to turn off the lights and ushered us to the back corner of the room. We sat in silence for about 2 minutes. Then, the usual buzzing from a panel in the back of the room stopped, indicating that the school must have cut the power. We exchanged worried glances, realizing the seriousness of the situation. A few minutes later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs in the hallway. 2 girls in our class started crying, which heightened our fear as the screaming grew closer. The man began banging on the lockers, shouting, "I'll kill all of you." At that moment, I truly feared for my life. Our teacher shushed us as we looked at each other, gauging our peers' reactions. The banging moved to our classroom door, and one of the crying girls screamed, "No!" The pounding intensified as the man yelled, "Open up!" Now, 2 girls were crying loudly, and it felt like an eternity before the man finally moved on, continuing his screams down the hallway until we could no longer hear him. About 10 minutes later, although it felt like half an hour, the dean returned to the loudspeaker to explain the situation. He revealed that a mentally unstable man had entered the building and assaulted the woman at the front desk, causing her to flee in terror. Staff members were unsure if the man was armed. This was before the school had security cameras or proper security measures, leaving it vulnerable to such incidents. After sweeping the hallways and classrooms without finding him, the dean instructed teachers to resume classes, but keep all doors locked and not allow students to leave. The most disturbing part was when a janitor found the man sleeping in a storage closet near the back of the school. Rumors spread among students that he had a .44 Magnum in his pocket. It seemed the janitor must have made a mistake, like leaving the closet door open. By the time the police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, my entire class has no idea if he was ever found, but I like to think he is receiving the help he needs. My school has 2 lunch periods. The first is for all 6th graders and some 7th graders, while the second is for the remaining 7th graders and all 8th graders. The lockdown I'm describing happened in early October, on an overcast and rainy day. During first lunch, I heard 4 loud booms, which I initially thought were thunder. However, the entire lunch crowd erupted in screams. I assumed the kids were just overreacting, but campus security quickly entered, yelling at everyone to go into the multi-purpose room. Those in line for lunch had to throw away their food and rush inside. My friends and I joined a large group of students in the room, all of us curious about what was happening. The multi-purpose room is huge, with a back wall made of glass. When we were rushed inside, campus security began covering the glass with curtains, and adults stationed themselves at every exit. My friend Eric, along with the rest of us, was curious, so he asked one of the adults what was going on. When he returned, he said, "You know those houses right in front of TMS? There's a mentally unstable man barricaded in front of his house, threatening to commit suicide and kill the cops if they try to evict him. He's been walking around outside the school, watching the kids in a creepy way." To make matters worse, Eric informed us that the man was a registered sex offender. We were stuck in the multi-purpose room for an entire hour, missing 2 periods. After the situation was resolved, we were escorted back to our classrooms one by one. Later, I learned that the man lived next to my friend Brandy, who told me about a previous Halloween when she saw him at his window, cutting his arm and writing in his own blood, "Don't come here or I'll kill you." At the time, people, including Brandy, thought it was just a Halloween prank. But after this incident, we realized how serious and dangerous he was, and we were relieved he never got close to us. Now, at 22 years old and fresh out of college, I recently got a job as a computer intern at my old high school. The school basement is messy and disorganized, but it has a small, well-equipped office with 3 large desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and air conditioning, luxuries that students and teachers can't enjoy. I got this job because 3 of my former computer teachers adored me. I consider them real friends, not just authority figures. Everything was going smoothly until a few weeks ago. My 2 co-workers, Dave and Gary, were upstairs working on papers while I was eating my lunch in the office. Suddenly, I received a phone call from a woman in the front office informing me that the school was on lockdown due to a possible armed intruder. All I could do was turn off the lights, as this nice little office didn't have a real door, just an opening, and the basement door lacked a working lock. I turned off the lights and my computer screen, keeping my phone on the desk while texting Dave and Gary, but they didn't respond. I sat in the dark for about 20 minutes, playing games on my phone, waiting for the call to resume work. I had no idea what was happening upstairs and couldn't hear anything from my secluded spot. Then, the door to the basement creaked open, echoing through the space. I sat up, wondering if I should call out to Gary or Dave. Suddenly, someone came running down the stairs, their footsteps approaching my office. I pushed my chair aside and crawled under the desk. Someone entered the office without turning on the lights, and silence enveloped me. I felt paralyzed with fear, convinced that any noise I made could be fatal. Just then, my phone dinged with a text message. I felt my heart race as I clutched my teeth in fear. The footsteps drew closer until I finally crawled out from under the desk, begging whoever it was not to kill me. A man in a red plaid button-up shirt and a reddish-black cap grabbed my arm and pulled me up. "It's okay," he said. "I'm just hiding down here with you. What's going on up there?" I whispered my question, but he ignored it and asked if there was an exit. I pointed him in the direction of the exit before asking, "Who are you?" There was a brief silence before he explained that he had come to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. Checking my phone, I saw a text from Dave that read, "Dude, this is crazy. Some guy shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about to read that text aloud to the man when I looked up and felt my stomach drop. The man seemed to sense my suspicion. In a panic, I darted for the stairs just as a gunshot rang out in the basement, followed by the sound of a bullet ricocheting off something metal in the dark. Miraculously, the bullet missed me, and I made it upstairs, where police were waiting at all exits, including the basement entrance. They apprehended the man the moment he opened the door. Fortunately, our teacher, Mr. Buckley, survived the gunshot. It was later revealed that he and the man had some unresolved issues, but the specifics were never disclosed. What we do know is that Mr. Buckley didn't do anything to provoke such a violent reaction. I will never forget the sound of that gunshot echoing in my mind.